everybody, and welcome to the Phish Phry podcast. I'm your dad, host Bobby.
And I'm Oliver.
And today we are discussing the 1994 album by Phish called Hoist. Now, I did read somewhere online where it said, you don't have to worry because no horses were hurt in the taking of that picture. You know, because it's hoisted up.
Wait, they actually took a picture of it?
Mm-hmm. They actually took a picture of it.
And just redesigned it?
Yeah, and just like colored it and
that's cool.
Made it look all stylized. But yeah, so 1994. How old were you?
I wasn't even born. I was like, huh?
You started to do the math and realized you weren't there.
Yeah.
Well, I was 13 years old, but I was not aware of Phish.
At all.
Yeah.
That was like till you were like 16-ish.
No, I was a little older than that, but they were not on my radar at all. So, this album has a lot of great songs. I'm going to run down the track listing, and then we can talk about them. So, it starts off with Julius, then Down with Disease, If I Could, Riker's Mailbox, Axilla, Part 2, Life Boy. Mm-hmm. What else is it?
Sample in a Jar,
mm-hmm.
Wolfman's Brother, Scent of a Mule,
yep.
Dog-Faced Boy, and Demand.
Now, there are songs on here that they still play today, and they're so much fun. Crowds love them. Everybody loves them.
I was about to say that.
So, based on all those songs, some really good ones, what's your favorite?
I like Down with Disease a lot.
That's a great one.
Because, like, I like how there's, like, a lot of call and responses in it.
Yeah.
And my favorite is, like, when it goes, like, stop, and then it goes, like, stop, like that.
I always like that part, too.
It's cool.
Yep. I always like the part, and I don't know what it means, and it's probably only because I haven't really dug too deep into it, where it talks about, like, 1,000 barefoot children outside.
Usually, all of their songs are about, like, nonsense and stuff, so you're not... So, like, they just want you trying to not, like, figure out and dig deeper. Yeah,
a lot of their stuff is kind of either pulled from different poems, different thoughts, and they're just kind of put together because of the way they sound, which I think is super cool, but I always liked that line when I first heard it.
Yeah, like I always say, Phish is creative.
Like you always say. So... what's your second favorite?
Wolfman's Brother.
Wolfman's Brother. Coming Down on Me. Yep, that's fun. Mm-hmm. So, do you have any others that are, like, close to your favorite? Or, like...
I like Axel Part 2 and Sample in a Jar.
Yep. So, that brings me to my favorite. My favorite on here is Sample in a Jar. And I think it's probably because when I first started listening to Phish a lot, probably sometime last summer, that was on one of the playlists I first found, and so like it just kind of stuck out to me, and so I think that's why out of all these on here, that's one of my favorites. My second favorite would be Axilla Part 2.
Yeah,
it's just a heavy metal, just rock, just fun.
Yeah, so is like Wolfman, Down with Disease.
Yeah.
I like that.
It is way more of like a rock, heavier song.
And, wait, I forgot what I was going to say. First time I looked at Sample in a Jar, I thought it was going to teach, like, me, like, a lesson like in Pete the Cat. I remember I used to read Pete the Cat, and I was like, Sample in a Jar? I thought that was the one of Pete the Cat's thing. And I was like... It might teach me a lesson or something, so I'm like...
I do like those Pete the Cat books.
Oh, yeah.
They're pretty cute. My third favorite, or like my honorable mention, would be If I Could.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's a beautiful song. I love that...
Alison
Krauss. Yep.
Krauss.
I love that she...
she
joins in on that. Because her voice is just so... iconic and beautiful, and I think what she adds to it with her harmonies and her verse and stuff is very nice. But I think that's just a beautiful song. And then I did read where she performed that song with them live. I think it was in '96 when they played in Nashville. Then she came out and did that song with them.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I wonder where they get, like, in the Wolfman's Brother, like, the horn or something, like the trombone.
Yeah, so on the studio, they brought in a horn section.
Oh.
Some of them were from this other band called the Tower of Power. They're just like a pretty famous horn section that they brought in for that.
That's cool.
Yeah, the horns on this album, very nice.
Yeah, I want, like, you know how they, like, bring in people, like, to, like, perform with them? I wish we could do that on our podcast, like, for fans to do, like, that with us.
Yeah, so, like, do an interview with somebody? Yeah, that'd be fun. We can definitely check into that. Maybe somebody that knows a little bit more about Phish than we do.
Yeah, and somebody who listens to a lot
of
our podcast.
Yeah, that'd be fun. We'll check into that. It's a good idea. What do you think of Riker's Mailbox?
I really like it.
You do?
It reminds me of, like, Simon's brother.
Yeah, Simon's friend.
Oh, my friend.
Yeah. It's one of those, like, nonsense songs because it's just a lot of screaming and horn noise and just randomness.
I forgot about the screaming.
But it's just, I think that's just one of the things they're known for is just these kind of
nonsense.
Yeah, and like Demand, it's kind of an instrumental, like they actually play a tape of one of their other songs from live. It's just, I think that those types of, I don't even know if you'd call them songs, but those tracks are very interesting for what they do and, kind of where they're going. Now, Julius, it's a fun one.
And like more of the rockish kind of.
Well, no, I think it's more like
an hour a day. It's kind of like
but it's kind of a throwback, kind of like, not R&B, but just kind of like that.
It has some rock in it.
Not
as much as like.
But it's kind of a throwback type rock, like early days of rock, because it's got the background vocals that are echoing and call and response type stuff. So, I thought this was interesting. This one, Hoist, was the best-selling album to date. So when they put it out,
it was all over the newspapers or something.
Yeah, all over the newspapers. It was like one of their best-selling albums, and it was at number 34 on the Billboard Top 200.
Out of like 200?
Yeah, out of all the albums, they'd do like a top 200. It was number 34, so it was actually in the top 50.
That's really good.
Yeah.
It's like being in the top 5.
Yeah, and I know this probably don't mean a lot to you, but it was certified gold. So if you sell a certain number of albums, because back then they would sell albums and tapes and...
Oh, yeah, like that book that you have, something like that.
Yep, they would, if you sold so many, you'd get like a gold album, and then there would be like a silver album, and then like a platinum, if you sold like lots and lots. So this is one of their best ones, and a lot of people started listening to Phish because of this album.
So that's how they've gotten so many fans?
That's part of it,
so they were probably at like this and then...
Yep, just grew and grew and grew. And then people like me, who are aware of them later, kept listening to them, but people who listened to them this early would listen, and then their kids would listen. They'd tell people, it just grew and grew and grew that way. So
that could be us one day.
It very well could be, because you'll have to keep doing this podcast long after I'm gone with your son or daughter, depending on what you got. But I think this is one of the albums that I can pretty much put on and just listen to the whole album without being like, I could skip this song. I can listen to pretty much every track on here. What do you think?
Yeah, probably. I mean, it depends.
Yeah.
Like, if you're new or not.
Yeah, I mean, I think if it's someone new to Phish,
probably
this might be a good sampler of kind of their style and kind of where they're at. But I don't know if this is a good, like,
starter.
You listen to this album and you'll understand Phish.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, it has, like, a lot of... All of their albums have, like, a hint of what they have, but I don't think it'd be the best to start out with.
Yeah. I mean...
Probably, like, Lawn Boy, the one that we went.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that would be
the one. That's a good one, too. So, overall, I really like this album. And it will definitely stay in my rotation of albums that I go back and listen to. Any other thoughts about Hoist?
Do they actually hoist horses?
I think sometimes if they have to.
Like,
I don't know. There's probably some medical.
Like, is that bad?
No,
Or
I don't think
just,
so.
like,
Because it's a certain kind of
treatment?
contraption they had on that horse that's made, to attach to a crane to lift them. And they do it in a way they don't hurt them.
That's kind of creepy. Like,
Yeah.
you're just floating.
Just dangling there.
Like, imagine above your house at night, you just see a dangling horse. Just
Why is there a horse above my house?
yeah, I probably should go.
Yeah. Well, in 2 weeks, we will be talking about
Billy Bree?
Billy Bree.
Yes! My favorite album.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, finally.
Yep. It's definitely one of my top.
This is my favorite album.
Yep.
Ever.
So that's in 2 weeks.
Yes.
But in the meantime, follow us on social media.
Wait, was that? No,
We're on Instagram and Twitter at Phish Phry Pod. You can listen, rate, and subscribe to our podcast. And what else do they do?
Come and surrender to the flow with us.